Margo her business, her voice, her conversation, where we feature the men and women who have been entrepreneurs for 4 years or longer. They kept their pink icing stories at home and they're here to share information and a whole lot of inspiration. Some of these entrepreneurs are actually authors and they found their voice, so they share their books with us. Conversation, that's where I come on, and it's a monologue until you decide to chime in, and then it becomes a conversation. We talk about current events that affect us as entrepreneurs, and even those deep dive conversations, those things that haunt us in the night and try to stop us. It's all here, her business, her voice, her conversation. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Margo Levat. I'm an author, podcaster, podcast host, and entrepreneur. We're going to take a moment and talk about the power of podcast guesting. 3 things come out of podcast guesting. First of all, you now are forming a relationship with that podcaster who is going to refer you to other podcast hosts. Secondly, you now are before the audience of this podcast, or people that you never would have met. And thirdly, you're positioning yourself to be the expert that you really are. Sounds like a plan? Yes, and it works. For me, I've been featured on magazine covers, featured in magazine articles, and I've been on television. With planning, preparation, and execution, you can have the same kind of media coverage. What I'm saying is that media coverage is not out of your reach. Reach out to me, 424-999-5814. Let's come up with a plan. Let's do some preparation and execute. Media coverage, it's not out of your reach. It has to be in your hand. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. I am your host, Margo Levat. I thought this week we would take a look at her conversation. And I'm here going to have a conversation with you, conversation when you respond back to what I'm going to present to you today, destructive fear. Yeah, it's a monologue that's going to turn into a conversation because I want to get feedback from you. So, we know that fear, and I'm not a psychologist or a therapist or any, I'm not a scientist, but I tell you what, I have been really in the trenches with fear for the last couple of months, and I really had to deep dive and take a look at what is this, what it's doing to my body, and what can I do about this thing of fear. So, can't cover it all. It's a really deep subject. We can get into mindset. We can get into the survival, fight or flight. We can get into all of that. I just want to share some stories, get some feedback from you, and then we can come to conclusions about what we all did about our destructive fear. And it's not the kind of fear that just, you're going to have that anytime, but it's that plaguing fear that you have to do something about. That's what I'm talking about today. That plaguing fear of, if I fall in love with this person, what is going to happen? If I don't love them, then I'm going to be by myself. Or if I do love them, then there's the responsibility of a relationship and all of that back and forth and back and forth. And that stuff will keep you up at night. It really will. And, I'm not talking about just with relationships, but we all have things that we're dealing with our business that keep us up at night. Shall I scale up? Should I go ahead and go with a PR company? What about my podcast? How am I going to grow more numbers? If I do this, if I go with this coach, if I go with this mastermind, we're back and forth, back and forth. When does that become destructive? It becomes destructive when we cannot make a firm decision that we can live with, that we can move forward with. I'm not going to do anything about it, or doggone it, I'm doing something about it. And this is my choice. We've done our research. We've checked out why we can't just sleep on some things. There are things in business that we have to take care of. There are decisions that in life that we have to make decisions about, and we can't afford to stay backed up in the corner because we don't want to look at it. We don't want to deal with it. It's too hard. It's out of our wheelhouse. We can come up with a myriad of questions. Oh, I've been burned before, so I'm just going to put my head in the sand. Ladies and gentlemen, there are things in life and in business that we have to stand up straight, and we have to look it straight in the eye, and we have to get our sword. We have to get our computer out. We have to get our coach. We have to get our mastermind. We have to get on YouTube and find something that relevantly we can relate to, but we have to take action. Where's all this coming from? For me, it is coming from relationship. Do you move forward with this relationship, or do you just put your head in the sand and not even investigate what it could be? You know, how many of us have been hurt? Stand in line on that one. But if you have an opportunity to care about somebody, they care about you, why not give them an opportunity? Why not give you guys an opportunity, a chance? Destructive fear will have you leaning back into the past, giving this poor joker not an opportunity, because you're putting everything together in the past, not even giving you're so fearful, you're not even giving yourself a chance to see the possibilities, the options, not even listening to what the relationship coaches are saying as they even break it down, dating and courtship and seeing a person through the 4 seasons. I'm talking about my conversation, my interview that I had with Cullen and Elidia Mattox. It was amazing. It was an eye-opener. And that broke the back of destructive fear for me, because it's so easy and comfortable to stay very, very fearful, at least for me. And as I say, I'm speaking of relationship, but this destructive fear, this fear that backs you into a corner where you do absolutely nothing, you don't even make a conscious decision because you can't. It can be applicable for anything. So there are tools out there. There are, there are resources where you can do your homework. You don't have to jump into a decision right away. Do your homework and take time to be honest with yourself. We don't take time to really listen to ourselves until we are in a state of being broken down and we're on the side of the road. I'm speaking for myself. And, as I said, this is a monologue, but it's going to come out to be a conversation, because I sure want to hear from you. This thing of destructive fear is keeping too many of us off the airwaves as far as being a guest on podcasts. We're not writing our books. We are not building out good, healthy relationships. We're not going to our next. We are not allowing ourselves to be our optimum best because of destructive fear. We're not even allowing ourselves to go to the place of healthy fear. At least get to healthy fear, which will let you do some research and acknowledge what you're feeling. Acknowledge it. Spend time with it. Spend time with it. Why am I feeling this way? What resources do I have at hand so I don't have to? I can move forward. I can make a sound decision. Excuse me. I ran across a video, and Nipsey Hussle had quotes, video quotes, they put together. They put together him just really speaking, and it's coming from mindset, success, survival mode. All of the man was so full of wisdom, as many of us already know. But one quote that stood out to me immediately was about making a decision. And he said, never make moves under pressure. And fear will make you make a move, a decision, join you into an obligation, whatever, a commitment, whatever. It will make you move into situations that you can't back out of. And I love the fact that he said, never make moves under pressure. So when you take time to sit by yourself and really evaluate the genesis of this fear. Were you a little kid? Were you a teenager? Was it just last year? Am I giving this person a true shot so that we can find out? Maybe this is what you've been praying for. Maybe this relationship is what you've been praying for. Maybe this is what you've been building up for. Maybe this is what you've been in the process of life changing to become and to merge together with somebody. Haven't you evolved? You know, you ask yourself all these questions. In business, haven't I been taking classes? Haven't I been under the tutelage of some awesome business minds? Haven't I sacrificed and put out good money to learn what I learned? Haven't I practiced interviewing? Haven't I practiced podcasting? Haven't I laid down the foundation? What am I fearful of? Am I fearful of not measuring up? Why do I need others to validate what I've put into place, what I've worked hard to put into place? We ask ourselves all of those questions when we get by ourselves. And if we can't be honest, then we are willing to invest and get with someone who can evaluate and help us unravel this fear, this destructive fear. Many of us are seated in the corner because it's comfortable. Many of us are freelancers, but we've gone back to full-time jobs because it just seemed to be a comfortable and ready solution for us. Is it a good idea? What about what you've been working to put into place? Are you abandoning it, putting it on the back shelf and abandoning it? Or what can we say about this decision? You know, the fear of running out of retirement funds, the fear of getting connected with the wrong strategist. Everybody wants to be a career coach, and I don't even know who to trust anymore. That old tax person jacked me up. It happens to all of us. But do we go off and we sulk? And do we hang up our pens? Do we hang up our headphones? Do we put our heads in the sand and just become numb to our next? Do we succumb to the destructive fear that's running throughout our bodies and our minds? Or do we take time to sit down and really evaluate, earnestly, honestly evaluate our next? So many of us, we walk past opportunities. We let collaborations go by. And how many times have we heard the riches are in the follow-up? We don't follow up because that calls for accountability. That calls for making a decision. That calls for showing up. That calls for forward movement. And we are so fearful of forward movement, being responsible, getting out of that comfort zone, causing ourselves to say, I don't know it all, but I have the awesome opportunity to be better. I have this opportunity to heed to the call to be a co-host to this podcast that I've always wanted to be a co-host to. This person chose me to be a co-host. If you get an opportunity like that, don't bury yourself in the sand, head in the sand. Somebody is giving you earned media coverage as far as a TV show, a TV interview, a podcast interview. Don't say that you're not enough. You are enough if you've invested in yourself. If you feel it in the marrow of your bones, in the very center of your core, do not let destructive fear back you up. Do not let it delay, because I'm going to tell you one thing. I have found that when it is time for something to happen, when it is time to connect, with an opportunity, with a person. When you are ready and the times are aligned, you say no to that opportunity. God, the universe, already has something ready to say, yes, they are prepared and they are not going to deliberate. They're going to do it scared. They're going to do it as we are perfecting this along the way. They're not going to sit off in the corner and say 6 months, 2 weeks is sometimes too long to deliberate upon an opportunity. It's the top of the year. We closed out 2022 with so many ideas, with experiences, with fears, yes. But with those fears were accompanied prayers and hopes and wishes. And we didn't stop moving forward in our minds, our whole, and our energy and our studies and our relationships with God and the universe. Everybody knows what our next is, where we're going, what we're up to, the challenges that we're going to take on. And then the opportunity comes just out the gate and we say no. We're all sulking over on our desk chairs thinking, oh no, it's not time. Remember in the first Top Gun, and I watched that one not too long ago. Remember when Tom Cruise and Goose were flying and they got in a backwash, I think that's the term, and he spun out of control. He couldn't maintain control of the fighter plane, and they just were dropping, and Goose was told to eject, and he was pulling on the lever, and he couldn't. The hatch would not let him eject. Finally, his body hits the dome there, and him and Tom Cruise are in the water, and Goose is dead. Well, nobody's fault. It wasn't anybody's fault, but there were other opportunities that came to Tom Cruise after that fateful, devastating event came into his life. Didn't see it coming. It really broke him down. So this guy, you saw him early on, all this confidence, all this training, all this preparation, all this spirit of competition. And one incident drove him to say, I'm out. And had someone not taken time to say, he's quitting the program, the whole thing would have been a wash. So what I'm saying with all of that is we've come out, excuse me, we've come out of some circumstances, and they've been hard circumstances. We've come out of some things that really shook us to the core, as in our personal lives, in our professional lives, as entrepreneurs even, and it shook our confidence to the core. But trust and know, somebody's watching you. Somebody's hoping that you don't throw in the towel. Somebody's hoping that you'll say yes to that next opportunity. Somebody's hoping that you'll stay in preparation mode. Somebody's hoping that you'll reach into your grit, and you will do whatever you need to do so that you can show up and show out, so that you can shine. It's early in the quarter. It's early in 2023. Do not let destructive fear back you up. Change your mind. Mindset seems to be a buzzword, but let it be your North Star on how you approach life. Let it be something that you lean on, something that is your accountability partner. Am I looking at this and thinking about this with the mindset that I want? Am I looking at it from an old set of eyes, an old way of doing things? Or am I progressive? Am I hanging with the right folks who are going to lift me up? We're taking into consideration all of these things. How am I looking at this? Can I think about this in a brand new way? And when we put the rubber to the road like that, most of the time we come to the conclusion, hey, I ain't looking at this right. I'm not judging this with a correct set of sunglasses or eyeglasses. Hey, I need some new contacts concerning this right here. So, destructive fear, how we handling that? Let me go back to the first analogy, the first story that I had, and that's relationships. And I'm telling you right now, I decided I'm going into this relationship, not rushing it, not going in with old ideas, old hurts as much as possible, old fears. This person doesn't even look the same. Not going into it with ideas of, well, we have to be this and we have to do this and it's going to progress to that. Let it be organic. That's my conclusion. That's coming from a new mindset. That's operating out of a brand new mindset. And that mindset is carrying over into my business. That's why Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation, on Her Business, we take a look at the how-tos and the information and the inspiration that comes from women doing business. And men also, because men bring some awesome conversations and contributions to the work that we are all doing as entrepreneurs. And then Her Voice, the second part of my podcast, what cause has really taken a person's heart and caused them to become a nonprofit. Her Voice, what are you speaking out about? What book did you write where you take a stand and you are transparent and revealing? And then Her Conversation is where we just have conversations about things that affect us as far as entrepreneurs. What's stifling our voices? And so that's why today's conversation, Destructive Fear, is up under conversation. So it will only be a conversation if I hear back from you. So DM me over on Facebook. Also, I'm over on LinkedIn, or my email address, media@gobeyondtheinterview.com. That information will be in the show notes. I don't want this to stay a monologue, and I'm actually going to reach out to some people because I want feedback. I really, really do. So let's come out of the corners, our places of comfort. It's not easy. It's easy to hide up under destructive fear, but that's not what's always best for us. This is a brand new, fresh year, and you're listening to this podcast episode on a brand new day. So if I can be of service to you in any way, reach out to me. But we are all triumphant. And if we've been in this thing of entrepreneurship, if we've been in this thing of podcasting any amount of time, we know there's ebb and flow. And knocked down doesn't mean knocked out, I heard somebody say. And knocked down does not mean I can't rise again. And not knowing doesn't mean that I can't learn. And imperfection does not mean that's just how I am. You make the decision. How are people going to see you? How are you going to see you? Okay. Where are you going to put your strength today? Where are you going to put your energy today? Because destructive fear does take up a lot of energy. And that same energy can be redirected. I'm Margo Lavette, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Today, it's centering in, focusing in on her conversation, and that conversation of destructive fear. It becomes a conversation when I hear from you. And I'll be back. Let's see, we're taking this show every other week, so I'll be back with another episode right here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Well, that's it. Another episode in the can. Remember, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are an author, media coverage can make all the difference for you. How else will people know where you are? And if you're serious, reach out to me today. Give me a call, 424-999-5685. 65814 or scan the QR code in the show notes. If you're serious, reach out to me today. I'm Margo Levette, her business, her voice, her conversation. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.